Hello, wonderful English learners, and a very warm welcome back to Podcast English. It's truly fantastic to have you join us today as we continue our journey of mastering English. At Podcast English, we are deeply committed to making your language learning experience not just effective, but genuinely captivating and profoundly inspiring. We meticulously craft compelling narratives designed to significantly boost your listening comprehension, enrich your vocabulary, and help you grasp more intricate English grammar in a natural, immersive context. Today, we're forging ahead with our adventure at Level B1. This means you'll encounter an even richer tapestry of nuanced vocabulary, more elaborate sentence structures, and a slightly quicker, yet always perfectly clear and supportive, storytelling pace compared to our A2 narratives. Our primary aim is to offer a stimulating yet entirely achievable challenge, empowering you to build confidence and fluency with every listen. And as always, our stories are more than just language lessons. They deliver profound messages and timeless life lessons that deeply resonate with real human experiences, emotions, and the pursuit of meaning. Today's poignant story is about the quiet power of patience, the true value of time, the deep wisdom passed down through generations, and the profound meaning of finding one's purpose. It's called The Old Clockmaker's Timeless Advice. So open your ears and your heart, listen closely, and let's explore this meaningful tale together. In a quiet, cobblestone alley, nestled between a bustling bakery and a fragrant flower shop, stood a small, unassuming storefront. The sign above its door was old and faded, the letters almost disappearing, but you could still make out the words, Arthur's Clocks, Repair and Creation. This was the shop of Mr. Arthur, the old clockmaker. It wasn't a modern shop. It felt like a place where time itself had paused, preserving a piece of the past. The air inside always smelled faintly of aged wood, brass, and a hint of fine oil, a comforting and nostalgic aroma. Mr. Arthur was a man as old as some of his clocks. His hair was pure white, like spun silver, and he wore thin, round spectacles that sat low on his nose. His hands, though aged, were surprisingly steady and nimble. They moved with precision and grace, handling tiny gears and delicate springs with immense care. His face was a road map of wrinkles, each line telling a story, and his eyes, though a little tired, held a deep, profound wisdom. He rarely smiled broadly, but his eyes often twinkled with a gentle understanding. He was not just a clockmaker. He was a guardian of time, a keeper of intricate secrets hidden within each ticking mechanism. Inside his shop, hundreds of clocks filled every available space. There were grand grandfather clocks, standing tall and majestic, their pendulums swinging with a slow, hypnotic rhythm. There were delicate pocket watches, small enough to fit in the palm of your hand, each ticking with a soft, intimate beat. There were intricate cuckoo clocks, waiting for the hour to announce themselves with a cheerful cuckoo. And there were countless wall clocks, mantel clocks, and desk clocks, all ticking, chiming, and whirring in a symphony of time. The sound of the shop was a constant, gentle tick-tock, a rhythmic backdrop to Mr. Arthur's quiet work. It was a melody of time passing, a peaceful and continuous song. Mr. Arthur loved every single clock in his shop. He knew their histories, their quirks, and their specific needs. He understood that each clock, like each person, had its own rhythm, its own unique way of telling time. When a broken clock was brought to him, he would not rush. He would examine it slowly, patiently, listening to its silent parts, trying to understand where the problem lay. He would spend hours, sometimes days, patiently working on a single mechanism, carefully cleaning tiny gears, replacing worn-out springs, and adjusting delicate balances. He believed that fixing a clock was not just a job, it was an act of understanding, an act of patience, and an act of respect for the passing of time. A young man named Tom often visited Mr. Arthur's shop. Tom was a talented artist, but he was also impatient. He lived in a fast-paced world, always rushing, always looking for quick results. He loved the beauty of Mr. Arthur's clocks, the intricate details, and the antique charm, but he couldn't understand the clockmaker's slow, deliberate pace. Tom's own art often felt rushed, unfinished, lacking the depth he truly desired. He often felt frustrated with his own progress, comparing himself to others who seemed to achieve success faster. He would start many projects, but rarely finish them, quickly losing interest if results weren't immediate. He had brought his grandmother's old pocket watch to Mr. Arthur for repair. It was a beautiful, silver watch, a family heirloom, but it had stopped ticking years ago. "Can you fix it quickly, Mr. Arthur?" Tom asked on his first visit, his voice eager. "It's been broken for so long." Mr. Arthur looked at the watch, then at Tom. His eyes twinkled. "Time, young man," he said, his voice slow and calm, "is not something you rush, and a good repair, like a good life, takes patience. This watch has many stories inside it. It deserves our time." He smiled gently. "Come back in 2 weeks. Perhaps it will be ready then." Tom was surprised by the long wait, but he agreed. He didn't know then that this old clockmaker would teach him a lesson far more valuable than a repaired watch. He didn't know that these visits would change his perspective on time itself. 2 weeks later, Tom returned to the shop. The tick-tock symphony greeted him again. "Is my grandmother's watch ready, Mr. Arthur?" he asked, hopeful. Mr. Arthur looked up from a large grandfather clock he was polishing. "Not yet, young man," he replied, his voice still calm. "I found a very small gear that was worn. I am making a new one myself. It requires precision, perfection, a true understanding of its purpose." Tom felt a pang of impatience, but he held his tongue. He watched Mr. Arthur's hands carefully filing a tiny piece of metal. There was a quiet intensity in the old man's movements, a complete focus that Tom found both frustrating and mesmerizing. He couldn't help but notice the meticulous care the old man put into every single action. "Why does it take so long?" Tom finally asked, unable to contain his curiosity. "You could just buy a new part, couldn't you?" Mr. Arthur paused, looking at the tiny gear. "I could," he admitted. "But a clock is more than just its parts. It is a story. It is a heartbeat. When a part is made with care, by hand, it carries a piece of the maker's soul. It gives the clock a longer, truer life. Just like your art, young man. Is it not better when every stroke, every color, carries a piece of your heart?" Tom considered this. He had always focused on finishing his art quickly, on moving to the next project. Mr. Arthur's words made him think about the depth and intention behind his own creations. Over the next few weeks, Tom visited the shop many times. Each time, the watch wasn't ready. Each time, Mr. Arthur had a new reason. "I found a tiny speck of dust in the balance wheel. The spring needs to be adjusted perfectly for its age. I am listening to its true rhythm." Tom learned to be patient. He began to watch Mr. Arthur work, fascinated by the quiet concentration. He noticed the old man's precise movements, his deep respect for each component, no matter how small. He realized that Mr. Arthur was not just fixing clocks, he was understanding them, communicating with them. During these visits, Mr. Arthur shared his wisdom.
He talked about time, not as a thing to be rushed, but as a precious gift. Time is like a river, young man. It flows. You cannot stop it, but you can choose how you sail on it. Do you rush, missing the beautiful scenery, or do you sail with purpose, appreciating every bend? He taught Tom about the interconnectedness of things, how a tiny broken spring could stop the grandest clock, just as a small, overlooked detail could prevent a masterpiece from being truly finished. He also stressed the importance of knowing yourself. Every clock has a unique purpose, a unique sound, he would say. Find your own rhythm, your own purpose, and your time will be well spent. Tom began to apply Mr. Arthur's lessons to his own art. He started to slow down. He spent more time sketching, more time thinking about his colors, more time observing the world around him. He worked on one painting at a time, patiently, focusing on every detail. He even started listening to podcast English every day, just like Mr. Arthur worked on his clocks, with consistency and patience, understanding that every story and every new word built a larger, richer picture. He realized that effective learning, much like mastering an art, required consistent effort and an appreciation for the process, not just the outcome. He learned that rushing through the content of podcast English stories would mean missing crucial vocabulary and grammatical structures. Slowly, Tom's art began to change. His paintings became deeper, richer, filled with more emotion and detail. They had a new kind of beauty, a lasting quality that reflected his newfound patience and dedication. He was no longer just painting, he was telling stories with his brush, just as Mr. Arthur told stories with his clocks. He stopped feeling frustrated and started to feel a quiet satisfaction in his progress. He found a new appreciation for the creative process itself, not just the finished product.
Finally, after nearly 2 months, Tom walked into the shop one afternoon, and the air felt different. Mr. Arthur was at his counter, polishing something small and silver. As Tom approached, Mr. Arthur looked up, a rare, full smile on his face. "It's ready, young man," he said. "Your grandmother's watch is ready." He handed the pocket watch to Tom. It gleamed in the light, its silver polished to perfection. Tom carefully opened it. Inside, the tiny gears whirred to life, and the second hand began to tick, 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 with a soft, steady rhythm. The sound was beautiful, a gentle whisper of time. Tom held it to his ear, listening to its delicate heartbeat. It was more than just a repaired watch. It was a symbol of patience, of wisdom, and of a profound change within himself. He felt a deep sense of gratitude towards the old clockmaker. "Thank you, Mr. Arthur," Tom said, his voice full of genuine emotion. "Not just for the watch, but for your advice. You've taught me so much." Mr. Arthur simply nodded, his wise eyes twinkling. "Time, young man," he repeated gently. "It is not a race, it is a journey. Use it wisely, with patience and with purpose, and you will find that every moment, like every tick of a well-made clock, has its own beauty and its own meaning." He then pointed to a painting Tom had recently finished and brought to show him. It was a beautiful, detailed portrait. "You have found your rhythm," Mr. Arthur observed. "Your art now truly tells its story." Tom left the shop that day, not just with a repaired watch, but with a repaired perspective on life and art.
He continued to visit Mr. Arthur, not as a customer, but as a friend and a student of life's deeper lessons. He became a successful artist, known not just for his talent, but for the profound depth and patience in his work. He never rushed his creations, always allowing them the time they needed to truly express their essence. He taught his own art students the lessons he learned from the old clockmaker: patience, precision, purpose, and he always encouraged them to find their own rhythm, their own unique heartbeat in their creative process. He also shared his own learning journey with them, recommending Podcast English, explaining how consistent, patient listening could improve their language skills, just as it had improved his. This story, The Old Clockmaker's Timeless Advice, offers several invaluable lessons that are perfect for your B1 English journey with Podcast English. First, the immense value of patience. Like repairing a clock or creating art, mastering English takes time and persistent effort. Don't rush your learning. Be patient with yourself when you don't understand something immediately. Consistent, steady practice, like listening to Podcast English regularly, will lead to significant progress. Second, the power of consistent, meticulous effort. Mr. Arthur's precision in fixing clocks is a metaphor for all learning. Pay attention to the small details in English: pronunciation, grammar rules, subtle word choices. These small, meticulous efforts build a strong foundation for fluency. Third, wisdom often comes from unexpected sources. Tom learned profound life lessons from an old clockmaker. Be open to learning from everyone and everywhere, even from simple stories like those on Podcast English. Wisdom isn't always found in textbooks. It can be found in quiet observations and humble conversations. Fourth, finding your purpose enhances your journey. Mr. Arthur had a clear purpose in his work. Tom found his purpose in his art by adopting patience. In English learning, find your own purpose. Is it for travel? For work? For connecting with others? A clear purpose will motivate you and make your learning journey more meaningful. Finally, time is a precious resource. This story emphasizes using time wisely, not rushing through it. When learning English, make dedicated time for your studies. Use your listening time effectively with Podcast English, focusing on understanding and actively engaging with the content. Every moment you spend learning is an investment in your future. Thank you for listening to The Old Clockmaker's Timeless Advice on Podcast English. I hope this story inspired you to approach your English learning, and indeed your life, with more patience, precision, and purpose. Remember, like a well-made clock, your journey is unique and has its own beautiful rhythm. If you enjoyed this insightful story and want to hear more B1 English stories that offer both language practice and profound life lessons, please give us a thumbs up. Your likes help us know what content you most enjoy and help other English learners find our channel. And please subscribe to Podcast English for more captivating narratives, expanded vocabulary, and advanced tips for your English journey. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next story, our next lesson, our next opportunity to learn and grow together. We are so happy to have you here, ticking along with us, learning with us, and appreciating the timeless value of every moment. See you next time, and keep cherishing your time wisely.